Good morning, guys. I was rolling down the road a few days ago on my Kawasaki Vulcan, and I noticed that suddenly that my speedometer cable wasn't working. It had been working fine just a few minutes before, and so what flashed through my mind is, gee, I wonder if it's a wheel speed sensor. And then as I rumbled along, I realized that, hey, this bike is a 95. It's 17 years old. This is much more likely to be a cable than it is a sensor. Let me show you what I found.
Most bikers will tell you that the main use for a speedometer is not estimation of speed. Rather, we use the odometer to estimate how far we can go before we run out of gas.
When I took the speedometer off and looked underneath it, I found the cable, and I slid this out of the cable and realized it was completely broken. And so I've ordered myself an OEM part. This is the part number. We're going to change it out now. First thing you want to do is to undo these three bolts here. These are little 8mm bolts. Once those three bolts are off, you can pull the electrical holders off, and then the whole thing will lift off here. Here's a view from the other side. This is a speedometer cable right here, and so we just need to undo that. So you just spin that counterclockwise, and there it is. This is the view from above. There's a little Allen wrench connection that you get at from below. Undo that Allen wrench and then the cable slides itself out. I'm going to approach it from below. As I'm sure you understand, it's a little tricky to film this and do it at the same time. Basically, I'll put my Allen wrench into there, unscrew that, and then the speedo cable pulls out. Unscrew that Allen wrench and then just wiggle, and out it comes. I did consider the possibility of just trying to thread the wire up this cable, but I paid for a whole speedometer cable, and so I'm going to replace the whole cable if I can do it. Putting the light down. There we are. Now at this point, I could tie a string to this end, pull the old cable out, tie the string to the new cable, and then thread the new cable in. And if I do it that way, I can avoid removing the tank. But with so many hot parts underneath there, I want to be sure this is placed exactly. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the tank for better visual access, just to make sure that it's well placed. To do that, I need to take the seat off. So I'll undo this bolt here. This now gives us access to this tank mounting bolt here, and then there's one up here. You can't see. I'll undo those both now. And I'm going to cut this quick tie for better mobility. I don't want to have to take the whole tank off, and that's about as good as I'm going to get. And so I'm going to do this string trick again, just to allow me to pull it out, compare the two, and then we'll go from there. I think I've got a good view of the way the wire travels, so I'm not going to damage anything. So a bit of a problem. The head of the speedo cable is just binding as I pull it through here. And if it's hard to remove, it's going to be doubly hard to put back in. Both heads are about the same diameter, and so I'm going to actually have to pull the whole gas tank off to get better access here. I'm not sure if I need to do this, but I'm going to siphon the gas in the gas tank to make it easier to manage. All right, the dealer's manual says that I undo here and here. This is an aftermarket fuel filter that we put on when my carb clogged up at one time in the past. So I'm going to undo these two electrical connectors here, and they come off like so. shows it's here. And let's pull it up. There we go. So here is what we have now that the tank is removed. It looks like it might go, but in fact it holds up right there. And so I'm going to take off this air box. I'll remove this bolt and that bolt. And once these two bolts here are removed, we can just lift the air box off. And here we have it, it's completely free. Okay, so the new cable's on the top and the old on the bottom. And they look close to identical. Notice that connector there is slightly different position. And over here, it looks like the new connector is about an inch short of the old. Hopefully that's not going to be a big deal. Okay, one thing I'll show you, it looks like even though it's a hair shorter, it's not going to be a problem. But this end has a fork in it, and so when we slide it back in, we need to get that fork to bite in there so that it makes good contact. And then the vent tube. And the fuel line tube. And I've got the two electrical connectors done up, and now I'll do the Speedo cable. And that just... Well, looks like it's working. Overall, I'd say this is a little more difficult than I thought it would be, just because of routing issues with the cable. But at the end of the day, it worked out fine. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and if it helped you out, please hit subscribe or like. That'll help other people to find this if they need it.